Hello and welcome back to a special edition of Idle Kingdom Defense. So today we are conquering King's Ruins. It is King's Ruins 8710. Whoops, let me actually show you the stage. I almost forgot to do that in my rush, and you can see it's 8710. Oh, let's pick up some gold. Always good to pick up some gold. That's a lot of gold. Sophia, you get a level. Oh, 69. Nice. 90. Congrats, Sophia. I actually think I missed that earlier that she was such a nice level. Alright, so let's go into King's Ruins. So, this is basically the same old. And I can't say anything bad about that. And again, this should hopefully be getting easier as Sophia gets stronger. Sophia's heal is based off of her level, basically, because it's her native attack. Her weapons and gear don't matter. So the higher Sophia gets, the better she is. Which is why myself and most high-level players just put all the levels into Sophia. Basically, once you get Sophia's level high enough, she is a game changer, as you've clearly seen in my videos. If you haven't seen some of my videos, you can watch before and after. And see how, in a way, she kind of trivializes like King's Ruins and lets you push a lot higher. She really does let you punch above your weight if you're looking for a straight 1 versus 1. Because basically in a 1v1 with the castle where you can't restore the castle's health, it's a DP, even with all the stunning and crowd control I have, it still boils down to a DPS race. With Sophia, it becomes a longevity race instead of more of a DPS race. Sure, there's still DPS racing components to it, like, if I did no damage, couldn't do it. However, if it offsets so much of their DPS that it does change the dynamic quite dramatically. The problem is, like, I tried Sophia like 700, she sucked. I tried Sophia at like 1400, she sucked. Sophia only stopped sucking when she was around, for me, level 2500. So if you're using a lower level Sophia, yeah, that's why she's going to suck. But, I'm content. I'm not content where I am. We still need to get to stage 1330. That's where, the upgrades stop. That's basically where we would have unlocked Mythic 5 gear. I don't know how feasible it's going to be to get there until Mythic Archer gear comes out. That said, we do have, you will notice we have Adrian on the field. Adrian being on the field means I basically expect to get Mythic Heroes before Mythic Archer gear. Not because of anything other than I finally got enough shards to promote Adrian to Legendary 1 to take Xavier's spot. So the most fitting thing for that would be for then Mythic Heroes to come out for me to just promote Xavier back to Mythic 1 and retire Adrian. That said, I feel like... That said, with the delay, and the little bit I showed you earlier today, I'm wondering if Mythic Archer gear and Mythic Heroes will come out at the same time. Mythic Heroes, I feels like, requires somewhat of a rework if they're going to expand things in the future, but who knows. Kind of curious to see where they're going to go with it. Now, if they do give us Mythic Heroes, that will be huge, huge, huge for my heroes to help them get much further. And I don't know how they're going to change, I have heroes like Ryan, who already have 100% slow. If we promote them to Mythic, like, how are they going to change? Because he already has 100% slow. Well, I'm sorry, he has permanent slow, not 100% slow. He slows at 85%. But he has 100% hit rate on a slow. Let me be very clear with that. So he does not slow at 100%. He slows at 85% 100% of the time for a duration of 7 seconds. So every time he uses ult, he can basically slow lock somebody, as you can see him doing in the upper left-hand corner right there. So, but anyways, it does make me kind of wonder, how would they treat a hero like Ryan? How would they treat a hero like Evan? If you look at Marion, she's going to cap out at 80% for both of her abilities, so she's a perfect hero. I feel like Marion was built explicitly for Mythic Heroes because she's perfectly designed to be able to go to Mythic and still not be 100%, regardless of how crazy her abilities are. So that is Ruins 3. That's very nice. And this is one of the worst ones. 5, 8, and 11 are the worst ones because of the dogs. And I'm not the only one that struggles with the dogs, so I'm glad to see that. I've heard other people posting in the Discord, like, they can't push auto automatically either, because basically when a dog wave comes out, they lose. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of my dilemma. Like, I don't want to baby it. And at least for me, it's not every time that a dog wave defeats me. But it's enough of the time where I can't just let it run, especially since I'm trying to do 70 stages at a time. And from where I'm at right now, I'm probably ready to go a few more stages. I could probably go, how many more stages do I think we could go? That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe 8,900. That would be my upper limit guess for where I'm at right now. Probably be more confident in that guess tomorrow. Mostly because tomorrow's another level and Sophia will hit 7,000. Who knows what we'll pull. I don't expect any drastic power increases outside of getting Gabriel to 5-star legendary. You know, when I looked at his 3-star legendary ability, again, that's not really going to be as much of a game changer as I thought it was, because archers should already be critting 100% of the time. With archers already critting 100% of the time, you know, it doesn't matter getting more crit. But, you know, it's still nice to see. I mean, you know, it's still progress, right? Progress is what matters. I would like to see a lot of the crit buffs be turned into crit and crit damage buffs, or straight up crit damage buffs. One of the two. Because crit scales to a point, but eventually adding more crit, I think, has like diminishing returns or something like that. I'll take that back. I don't think it has diminishing returns, but I feel like what it is it's a certain point, a certain amount of crit, you're better off having crit damage. That's what it is. It's better to add more crit damage once you're beyond a certain crit percentage. My mistake. It is interesting that they have both crit and crit damage, so that's kind of neat. That to me is kind of a really interesting stat, because, you know, I play a lot of online games, so I always look at things like what kind of secondary stats can you have that actually change things? I mean, obviously we have crit, you have crit damage, you have hit rate and avoidance, you know, those two sides of the same coin. But outside of that, what do you have? You know? How can you, outside of those three stats, what can you really do to improve things? Now, you can have armor, but armor really doesn't improve your damage, it just mitigates damage, right? And you have in this game, you have the counter to armor is defense penetration. So you have both of those going on. But, you know, that's just one of the more interesting things, you know. Outside of crit damage, you know, hit rate and defense versus defense penetration, what other stats do you really have to grow by? And I could never find a good one. I know, like, World of Warcraft uses versatility. Versatility basically increases the damage or healing you do and decreases the damage you take. So it's basically like like armor that's both offensive and defensive. It's kind of an interesting stat. I mean, at least it works as a fourth stat, but World of Warcraft doesn't have excuse me. It doesn't have crit damage. which is interesting. And without crit damage, what that kind of does is a lot of specs get forced into where they have so much crit, stuff becomes an automatic crit. Not every spec, but some do. And the fact that you have permanent crits then decreases the value of actual crit on your gear. They also have mastery, which mastery is usually just another damage buff. You know, it's basically like a purely offensive version of versatility. So, eh. I mean, it's just like this game. They have crit damage, they have hit and avoidance, defense, defense penetration, crit damage, and crit resist. Pretty, standard run-of-the-mill stats, I would say. Ooh, the second dog wave. We're already here. Sorry, I was just, I always try to think of a new stat. I mastery and versatility. Versatility is probably the most interesting one mechanically. However, it's usually undertuned to the point where you wouldn't want to have it, right? Like if versatility was the strongest of the stats, like increased your damage the most, right? You would stack that because it was both an offensive and a defensive stat. So as a result, versatility is usually the most undertuned because you don't want a pure damage and pure tank stat to be that powerful. That said, I don't have a lot of experience with Final Fantasy. I know that they have some stats. I don't know how their stats work. Maybe they have something different. Maybe they have an entirely different thing that I know nothing about, and I'm not creative enough to imagine. I really don't know. But that's what I get. I have a really strong WoW background. You know what? I'm kind of curious now to see what the stats are in Final Fantasy. They have critical hit rate. They have direct hit. They have direct hit, which is basically a fancy crit. It's like a soft crit. They have determination. Okay, it's just a flat outgoing multiplier. They have tenacity. So tenacity is also an outgoing damage buff. They have piety. Piety increases the passive MP recovery. Alright, well, we won Ruins 9. I know I'm getting a little off topic here, but I'm just curious. Like, skill and skill speed. Oh, you know what? I forgot haste. WoW has haste, because they don't have crit damage. So technically, I guess they could add haste, a haste stat, which would, but they kind of already indirectly do, because you have Tristram, and their gear actually does increase your attack rate. Same thing with the archers. So they have kind of haste, but it's not really like a secondary stat haste. It's more like built in, baked into the weapon haste. But haste in this case does not reduce the cooldown of your skills. That's a stat from D3. They have cooldown reduction. We don't have that here. Cooldown reduction actually can be interesting. Oh, and there's also like resource cost reduction. That can be interesting too. We don't have that here. the heroes are not resource limited; they just attack. Then again, the more of these like knobs, like say they added in GCD reduction or global cooldown reduction, or just cooldown reduction in general. We don't have a global cooldown here. Everybody just has their own individual cooldowns. Let's say they added, cooldown. Let's say they added haste, just straight up haste, and haste increased both attack speed and it increased ability cooldowns. That could be interesting, but then it would also break the game in so many ways. Because imagine like giving Evan like a lot of haste, so he can freezing arrow more often or something like that. Yeah, that'd be too. A haste that's that strong can become tough to balance. A haste that just increases the hero's attack speed probably wouldn't be a big deal. Tristan, he already does it, but they already baked that into the weapon. In fact, the haste is kind of hidden in this game because they don't explicitly call it in the screen. They just have an attack speed rating, and basically your gear makes the attack speed rating go up and down. The interesting thing that Final Fantasy does have is skill and skill speed damage. So basically a modifier to, that's basically CDR. So they have cooldown reduction, but they also have skill damage increase. So that would be like a stat that basically just buffs how much damage they do with their special attacks. Could be kind of interesting. It, kind of depends. So those are some stats that I didn't think about. And they have defense, okay. So again, I'm not super familiar with Final Fantasy. I know about it in passing, mostly. Oh wow, this went really south really fast while I was talking about that. But again, I was just trying to go through, like, what other stats could we have here? And I guess cooldown reduction would be kind of an interesting one. Oh, our castle is, didn't quite go to shambles, but damn, it took a lot of damage. So now you also know how uncreative I am. But again, like, for example, any kind of thing that just increases the damage with a different kind of stat for a different kind of damage that's like a crit or like this, it's, to me, not really, that creative. Like, that's, I could come out with like a versatility that isn't versatile. It's not that creative, in my opinion. Nothing. Not saying anything against Final Fantasy VII, and again, in their defense, a more complex system like that tends to have more levers you can tune and turn, which actually can make balance a lot better. For example, having the soft crit of the direct hit, I believe was what it was called. Having that kind of a soft crit, that's just another lever you can kind of tune to change how, classes feel without overly buffing or debuffing a class. But it is kind of in my opinion, a weak stat. But it is interesting because you can direct hit, and then that can crit, and they multiply together. So at least it multiplies with crit. But that makes you more RNG, a lot of RNG in that. Either way, it's an interesting concept. Oh, this is going really well. So I was just like watching the battlefield here. I'm like, okay, well, we kind of recovered from all that. Looks like we're doing well. And I was just kind of, I was spacing out thinking about stats. It's one of the things that has always fascinated me, to make a system that feels like it's fun to play. That's one of the things I've always... because I can look at a game like this, and I know it's a mathematical system, responding to different growth patterns, and how different functions grow, like, basically your stage is just an input number into how all these monsters generate, and what attack they do, and how much damage they do, and all their different attributes. So it's just really interesting to me to see, how all that math works together. Which could be very boring to you. But, at the end of the game, at the end of the day, this is just a giant calculator, You're playing basically a silly calculator game. Which is probably not the most enthralling way to explain it to you, but I mean, basically you're trying to get your number bigger than their number through a variety of different levers. And the end result is that the enemy does scale faster than you can scale. So that's why at lower stages you progress much faster than at higher stages. Like, think about my progress from stage, I don't know, the start of the game until, probably around, I would say, I really started slowing down in the 5,000s. 6,000s. And it's two entirely different worlds now. Granted, I had some... Back then, we had different rules on, like, archer equipment and stuff like that. So I had some unfair advantages compared to people that are trying now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got a problem in the lower left quadrant. Am I going to have to... No, I want to see what Evan does. We have a free res. Okay, there comes Diego. Alright, there they go. Alright, there. That's better. There you go. Okay, now Randolph's coming over too. He's like, damn it, what are you guys doing over here at the castle? The party is over there. Where are you guys? Oh, that's our 68th victory. So I've been playing this for at least 68 days. Probably a few more, because I did at least miss one or two. I think I skipped 2 King's Ruins because I didn't understand how the mechanics work, so I was like, well, maybe if I skip one day, it'll be easier the next day. It wasn't. But so there you go. I've been playing for around 60-something days. Okay, let's go through things. There was something I wanted to check that now I can't remember what it is. So please just give me a minute to think about what I wanted to do before I finished. In the meantime, watch me disenchant these. I must keep adding to my gigantic steel pile of 46 million, because who knows when we're going to get that mythic archer gear. I want to be ready to hit the ground running when we get it, though. Yeah, nothing to see here. You get anything here? Nope. Anything here? Nope. Alright, we'll do this. Can we do... Oh, nope. Oh, not even close. We would need at least, one more 5-star and one more 3-star to get anywhere. Yeah, we're not getting that anytime soon. It was something with my heroes that I wanted to do. Yeah, well, Sophia. We'll get you to 69.92. How about that, Sophia? Can't even remember. And yes, if you're wondering what's going on with my Ascension Stones, we are basically... Once they launch Mythic Gear, I was like, well, time to pack it in and prepare to level all heroes to Mythic. And that's kind of what we've been doing. And it's not the most exciting thing. Oh, it was the Sanctuary. We should be able to... Okay, we only need 75. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Step 8. This is probably not it, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to pretend like this is it. We are just going to pretend. Oh, wow. Hey! We finally got her to plus 12 attack. Congratulations, Sophia. No, we don't even have that one. Okay, and then we get through this. And once we get through this, it turns to 8. So we're getting close to... Oh, and then we're going to get to Mythic tier, and we're going to get to do the Mythic. So they're probably going to have to add... They're probably going to have to... Not that I'm anywhere close. Like, it's ludicrous to me that we can even see this, because I'm not even close to getting to here. Even with heroes that have had it unlocked for a while. Oh, was it the wolf? Did I want to look at the wolf? Let's look at the wolf. I don't know. Yeah, see, they have attack speed. So they do kind of have a haste where it increases the rate you attack. He does have a boatload of defense, almost 6,000. And defense isn't linear, there's a formula for it, so there's that. But all that said, once again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. If you have any questions or want to ridicule me about my explanation about Final Fantasy XIV and WoW stats in comparison to these stats, please feel free to ridicule me to death in the comments. But I was just exploring, like, how else could we progress our heroes? And once again, if you have any questions, also ask those too. But thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.